So just how much income is required to be able to qualify to purchase some of the most affordable homes on the DC real estate market right now? So I came across an article last night that was basically comparing how much income was required to purchase these homes in 2020 compared to 2024. And let me tell you, the difference is quite shocking. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to tour 3 homes in person that are all priced well below DC's median home price point. And then we're going to break down just how much income is required to be able to purchase these homes. And we're getting after it right now. So if you stumbled across this video, I'm assuming that's most likely because you're interested in buying or selling DC real estate, or you're just curious about the DC real estate market at large. If that's the case, you're at the right place. Feel free to subscribe below. My name is Bashir, and I get calls, texts, emails from folks just like you looking to purchase or sell a home in the DC metro area. So if you have plans on doing that in 30, 60, 90 days or more, feel free to reach out to me. My contact details are down below. Look forward to helping you find the right home in the right neighborhood. So let me start off by saying this. Over the past 4 to 5 years, we've been through so many events that have either directly or indirectly raised the barrier for entry into home ownership. You know, we've been through 2 administrations. We've been through a global pandemic, record high home prices, 6 and 7% mortgage rates. Now, a lot of these things are out of our control. However, there's still some things that are within our control that we can implement to make buying a home more attainable, which I'm going to go over in a second later on in this video. But first, let's talk about the first home of the day we're going to be touring. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo, about 621 square feet, priced at $379,000, right here in the Mount Vernon Square neighborhood. And that's actually the building right behind me. It's on 5th and Massachusetts Avenue. And why this condo has been on the market for so long is quite shocking to me. It's been on the market for over 200 days. But I'll tell you why that's actually shocking to me once we go inside and take a look. So let's go in. Okay, so this is our 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 621 square foot unit. So let's tour this unit in its entirety, and then I'm gonna let you know the reason why I picked this unit out. So this is our kitchen. We've got granite countertops right here. Not the biggest kitchen. I like the fact that it still has the traditional layout, you know, because a lot of these newer condos these days, I'm not a huge fan of the layouts because the kitchens come like all the way into the living room, and then, you know, the couch is right there, or the space for a couch would be right there, which I just don't, you know, I don't want to be adjacent to my kitchen. You know what I mean? See. Okay, so we've got a coat closet up here. So your in-unit laundry. And these floors are, you know, pretty new. They're just a little bit dirty right now. As you can see, there are footprints on there. But these are great floors. And then you've also got this balcony right here. So really great location. Over to the left here, you've got a lot of, you know, restaurants. To the right over here, which is Mass Ave, which ends up becoming New York Avenue. You've got the highway right there, 395, you know. So in a great spot. That's just a utility closet. So yeah, you've got a decent amount of space to work with. You can have a couch over here, put the TV right there, you know. Let's head into the bedroom. And you also get a lot of natural light. So this is our bedroom, and then it's the bathroom. And the closet is actually in the bathroom. So pretty nice sized closet. So a lot of these finishes aren't the newest. I think this building was built in, if I'm not mistaken, 05. I might have to double check that. So these are a lot of 2005 style finishes, like this choice of tile. So let me tell you why I picked this unit, and I think this condo has a lot of potential. For starters, it's priced at $379,000. Now, the going price for 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom condos that are around this square footage in this building, they start at like $440,000 to $450,000. So I'm going to put up some pictures of units that have sold in this building recently that sold at the $450,000 mark. So this unit is priced $70,000 below those other units. And this unit is on a higher floor, because being on a higher floor in a condo building gives you more dollar value. So this condo is actually owned by a bank. It's a bank-owned property. Apparently the person who owned it fell on some hard time and the bank just repossessed the property. So now the bank is trying to offload the property, because in case you didn't know, banks are not in the business of owning real estate. They're in the business of earning interest off loans. So when they take these properties back, they're not interested in keeping them. They want to sell them. So this is an opportunity to come in and buy this condo for $70,000 less than what the other condos sold for. Now, you might have to, do some cosmetic work to the condo. What I would do if I bought this place, I would definitely make some upgrades to the kitchen. I mean, the kitchen is not even in terrible shape. It's a clean kitchen, but I would say it's a bit dated. If someone bought this at, $379 and wanted to sell it in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years and get that $450,000 price mark, might have to make a few upgrades to the kitchen and especially the bathroom. But the good thing about it is you're buying the property from day one with about $80,000 in equity. If I was buying this place, I probably wouldn't even buy it at $379. I'll probably, dance around with the bank a little bit and negotiate and try to get this for probably closer to $350, just to account for all the costs that I'm going to bear with, renovations and all the closing costs when buying and selling. This is not the fanciest condo on the market, but I just think there's opportunity here. And also, the condo has been on the market for 211 days. That is a long time. I don't know why this hasn't caught the eye of anybody else. So anyway, let's talk about the numbers and how much income you would need to be earning to be able to afford this place. So let's talk about the cost of ownership for this condo and how much income is actually required to be able to afford this place. So we're going to assume you're putting down 10% and we're going to be using a 6.5% mortgage rate. So with a 10% down payment, we're looking at $37,950. Plus we have to add 3% to account for closing costs. So the total cash out of pocket to purchase this place is going to be $49,335. And at a 6.5% mortgage rate, your principal and interest is going to be $2,159. Your property taxes on a monthly basis, $247. Homeowners insurance, $76. Mortgage insurance, $213. And finally, the $462 per month HOA fee. And now that HOA fee also includes secure underground parking. I forgot to mention that, which is a huge value add, because in this neighborhood in Mount Vernon, I mean, listen, we're downtown. Right? It's not like you can find a residential street and park 2 hours for free. This place is busy almost 24/7. So having secured garage parking that you don't have to buy is a huge plus. So that's going to bring the mortgage to $3,157 per month. Now, let's assume you had two of the most common types of debt: student loans and credit cards. Let's assume you had a $300 per month student loan payment and $150 a month credit card payment. We're going to add the mortgage, which is $3,100 plus $450 for credit card and student loan debt. That's going to bring your total monthly debt obligation to just over $3,600. Now, most lenders don't want your debt to income ratio to exceed 40%. So your debt to income ratio is just how much of your income is going towards debts on a monthly basis versus how much income you're actually bringing in. So they want that number to be preferably under 43%. So we're just going to use 40. Now, if a 40% debt to income ratio is going to cause issues to afford a mortgage comfortably, you might want to dial that back down to around 30 or 35%. Although these days it's a lot harder to be below 30% because, with 6 and 7% mortgage rates and also higher cost of housing, it's almost impossible to buy a home and have a debt to income ratio of 20 or 25%, even with zero debt. Are some people able to make it work with putting down 20, 30, or even 40% down on a home? Yes, but most people don't have the luxury of having that much cash at one particular time to be able to put down on a home. So we're gonna go with 40%. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna divide our monthly debt obligation, which is $3,600 by 40. And that brings us to $9,000. And that's how much you're going to have to be earning on a monthly basis to be able to afford this home, which is the equivalent of $108,000 per year. Now, let's look at how much this has changed since 2020. Back in 2020, to afford this exact condo at $379,000 at a 3% mortgage rate, because that was what the rates were back then, the payment would only be $2,400 per month. And the required annual income was only $86,000. So that is a 25% increase from 2020 until now. So the required income has gone up by 25%. So one more amenity in the building is this rooftop area. And they also have a rooftop pool, which is currently closed because, it's like 30 degrees outside. But yeah, you've got this beautiful rooftop area. You've got these grills out here that could be used by residents. And this actually wraps all the way around to the other side. You just get beautiful views of DC. You can even see the US Capitol from right here. See if I can zoom this in. Yep. So let's head over to the second home. So for the second home of the day, we're in the Brentwood neighborhood, about 12 minutes away from downtown DC, where we just came from. We're going to be looking at this new construction building that I'm on right now, right on top of the penthouse. And man, there's been so much new development going on in this neighborhood. Let's see if we can count how many new construction condo buildings are actually in sight right now. So let's start off with the one we're going to be looking at first, which is this one. We've got that one over there. That's 2. We've got 3. And we've got 4. That actually looks like a house, but it's actually a condo building. And then we've got 5 right across the street. 5. And there's another one in the far distance. Not sure if you can see that one. That building right there. That's actually a separate building. So yeah, we're right on Rhode Island Avenue. It's a really accessible location. Right across the street there, we've got the Rhode Island Avenue Shopping Center. So they've got the giant grocery store over there. They've got Home Depot and other clothing stores. And the Rhode Island Avenue Brentwood Metro is actually less than a 5-minute walk from this building. So yeah, there's been a ton of new development going on in this neighborhood of Brentwood. I actually used to live in Edgewood on 4th and Rhode Island about 10 years ago. And it's just incredible how this neighborhood just changed so fast. And all these buildings just went up so fast. I mean, all these buildings used to be like single family detached houses. So they used to be houses just like these. But because this is sort of like a commercial district, DC zoning allows builders to tear these old houses down and build these condos because the lots are actually quite big. So the unit we're going to be taking a look at is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit, 846 square feet, priced at $489,000. So this is just the rooftop area of the building, which is open to all of the residents. And this actually wraps all the way around. And there's actually this penthouse area on the inside. So let's start with this first before we head over to the unit. So they've got this common area on the penthouse level. They have a kitchenette right there and a refrigerator. And they've got not a full bathroom, a bathroom, right? So I'm assuming the idea behind this was, I don't know, maybe this could be a space where people could come up and just set up and, I don't know, get some work done. Because there isn't like an obvious use of the space, you know? And you could actually access the outdoor area through all these doors. Okay, so let's head down to the lobby and show you what that looks like, and then we'll head over to the unit. So this is the lobby area. You've got the mailboxes right there. There's 16 units in this building, and that's just the front of the property. And then there's also parking in the back. So there are multiple assigned spaces. Okay, let's head up to the unit. So this is the unit we're going to be taking a look at. And check out this door. This is the type of stuff you see at a bank. Okay. So nice, bright and sunny unit. As soon as you walk in, the kitchen is right here. All white appliances, not appliances, all white cabinets and countertops. Geez, if you had all white appliances, it'll look like a medical lab or something. Okay, so we've got seating, bar stool seating underneath the island, and they also got this Juliet balcony, which faces the parking lot. So I guess you open this like this, and okay, so to the right over here is tankless water heater. And you could also use that as some sort of storage. And over here, we've got our first full bathroom. And the ceilings are actually quite high in this bathroom. So I think these floors they look like tile, but I think these are vinyl plank floors. Okay, we've got more storage. Over here to the left, in-unit washer and dryer. It's our first bedroom. So the location of this bedroom is actually, it's not facing, or is it? I think it's, yeah. So it's facing Rhode Island Avenue. And, if you know Rhode Island Avenue, it's a really busy street because it leads you all the way into Maryland. So it gets quite busy. This room is actually quiet. It's very quiet. So it's our closet right here. And this is the main bedroom because it's the bigger of the two, and it's also got its own full bath. Closet. Gonna have to put some kind of, a rod right across, or, install some storage compartments. Let's head over to our bathroom. And this is, quite a nice sized bedroom. You have this nightstand, and you've also got so much space right there in the corner. I like the choice of tile in the bathroom. We've got a standing shower. Okay, let's talk about the money. Okay, so let's talk about cost of ownership of this condo and also affordability. Now, we're just going to use the same metrics that we used from the previous condo. We're going to use a 10% down payment, 6.5% mortgage rate, and we're also going to use the hypothetical situation of the individual buying this place having a $300 a month student loan payment and $150 a month in credit cards. So the cash out of pocket to purchase this unit at the purchase price of $489,000, 10% down payment, 3% for closing costs, will be roughly $63,000. And the monthly mortgage payment is going to be roughly $3,700 a month. And that includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and also the HOA fee of $201 per month. So if we add $450, which is the sum of credit card bills and student loans, to the $3,700 a month for the mortgage payment, that brings the total debt obligation to $4,158 a month. Now, to be able to afford that at a 40% debt to income ratio, you're going to have to be bringing in $10,395 per month before taxes, which is equivalent to $125,000 per year before taxes. Now, let's see how this has changed since 2020. So back in 2020, if you were buying a place at this same price at a 3% interest rate, the payment would have been $2,780 per month, which is almost exactly $1,000 less. And the income required back then would have been $96,000 per year. So we're looking at a 34% increase in income to be able to purchase this unit at this present moment compared to back in 2020. Now, let's take a look at the third unit, which is actually in this very building on the same floor. So we're just going to head right across the hall. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 976 square foot unit priced at $549,000. So there we go. So this is our entry. I like these handles. So the doors don't have your traditional door handles. They went with these instead. So I don't know if that was for security purpose, and they got all these locks. Interesting. I've actually seen that in another building that I was in recently, probably the same builder. So this unit is priced around $60,000 more. It's about almost 100 square feet larger and has a different layout. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so similar concept. They've got the washer dryer right there. They've also got the utility closet with extra storage. We've got our kitchen. So it seems like this unit has space for a small dining table. The other unit, the only seating area was right here underneath the island, right? So same finishes. All electric for the stove, so no gas bills. So this is our living area. Again, they've got this Juliet balcony. Also has windows to the left and right. Okay. Storage closet. And I like this layout. You know, it still has that traditional, I mean, it's quite funny that I'm calling this a traditional layout because, like I said at the previous condo that we toured, a lot of builders these days are building condos where the kitchen area is adjacent from the living room. So if you have your couch set up this way, what you're looking at in the opposite direction would be your kitchen. And I hate that layout. To me, it's not efficient, you know? I like some sort of separation between your kitchen and also your living space. I mean, it's not a great deal of space, but at least it's not adjacent to it. Let's head to the bedrooms. So this is the first bedroom. Closet space. So the bedrooms are actually decent size. Okay, full bathroom with a tub. Yeah, these are good sized bedrooms. And then this is the main bedroom. Okay, so this does not have a bathroom. It's just the hallway bathroom or does it? Let's see, it's probably in the corner right there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, because I was like, where's the second bathroom at? So this is the second bathroom. Again, same concept. The first one had a tub. This one just has a walk-in shower. And then this one also has a balcony. Closet. And I like this long hallway that's right here before you actually get to the kitchen or the living space. Okay, so let's just cut to the chase. We're just gonna use the same figures. So with a 10% down payment and 3% accounted for closing costs, total cost to purchase this unit is gonna be roughly around $71,000.
and the mortgage is going to be $4,138 per month. And that includes everything I mentioned prior: principal, interest, HOA, etc. Again, we're going to add the $450 for the other forms of debt, and the total monthly debt obligation for this unit at this purchase price would be $4,588. Again, 40% debt to income ratio. We're going to divide our monthly debt obligation of $4,588 by 40%, and the gross income required on a monthly basis is going to be $11,470, which is equivalent to $137,640 on an annual basis. Now, how has this changed from 2020? Back in 2020, when their interest rates were 3%, the mortgage would have been about $1,100 less at $3,096 per month, and the gross annual income would have only been $106,000 per year. So again, we're looking at a 30% increase in required income between now and back in 2020. So after analyzing the cost for all these homes over the past couple of years, I'm seeing a trend here. And the trend is, on average, homes within this $300,000 to $500,000 price point require at least a 30% bump in income to be able to afford them at the same rate of, I guess, comfortability. Now, that percentage in required income increase is probably going to be much of a higher percentage at the $600,000, $700,000 up to $1 million price point. Now, within the same time period, most people's income in the DMV area has only seen a 12 to 16% increase, because in the DC area, most people see around a 3 to 4% increase in their salaries every year. So within that time period, the cost of housing has gone up 30% and wages have only gone up on average, 12 to 16%. So there's still about a 16% gap between what people are paying now and what they would feel comfortable paying. Here's the thing, right? 6.5% mortgage rates, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. They're definitely not going back to 3%. Not now, not anytime soon. I strongly believe that this is the new normal. Are interest rates going to go down sometime in the future? Yes. My prediction is they're stuck with this for at least another 2 years. I've literally had people tell me that the reason they're waiting to purchase a home is because they're trying to wait out the interest rates, trying to see if they're going to go back down to 3%. And let me put things in perspective for you. So the oldest person on earth right now is about 116 years old. I can't remember. You can Google this or chat GPT this. She lives in either Brazil or Argentina, one of those South American countries. She's about 117 years old. In her lifetime, a person that age has only seen mortgage rates under 4% once. Like, let that sink in. In 117 years, that person has seen mortgage rates under 4% only one time. So what that's telling me, if I'm looking at this logically, is mortgage rates under 4% is something that's an anomaly, and that only happened during COVID to stimulate the economy, and it got out of control. So we're probably not going to see that anytime soon. Now, despite home values being astronomically higher than they were, 3 to 4 years ago, and mortgage rates being double what they were 3 to 4 years ago, how is it still possible to make buying a home more attainable? Well, let's talk about a few strategies. Now, you might be doing all these strategies, or you've probably done all these strategies, and homeownership might still seem unattainable for you, but I'm just going to go through them anyway, because not everyone might have these things in place. And the first thing is improving your credit score. Now, is it possible to buy a home with a credit score of 620 or 600? Sure. You could even buy a home with a credit score as low as 580. But do I recommend that? No, because if you're buying a home with a credit score of 580, 600, 620, you're going to get the highest mortgage rates. So it's usually not ideal. I usually recommend aiming for at least a 680. And the closer you can get to 720, 740, 760, you're getting the best mortgage rates. The second thing is maybe consider saving for a larger down payment. Now, I know this is easier said than done, with how things are in the economy, inflation. It's like everything costs substantially more than what they used to. But if you have to push your goals of buying a home into the future by 6, 8, 12, or even 18 months, just so you can save up more funds for a down payment, that might be ideal, because the more money you have for a down payment, the less money you have to borrow, and that gives you a lower monthly mortgage payment. The third tip is to try and reduce your debt to income ratio as much as possible. So pay off those high interest credit cards, avoid taking on any new debt if you are attempting to save money for a home, because it's just going to put a chokehold on your saving efforts. And listen, I'm practicing what I'm preaching, because I recently just paid off all my debt to zero. because in short order, we're thinking about hopping back into the housing market, regardless of any external factors. So me personally, I really don't care what the mortgage rates are doing, if prices are going up or down, market conditions. Truth be told, that's irrelevant to me because I know how to identify a good deal and take advantage of the opportunity, regardless of market conditions. And tip number 4 is consider expanding your home search. So a lot of times you might start off your home ownership journey with the idea of purchasing X type of home in X neighborhood. But when you start hitting the pavement, you realize X property in X neighborhood might be a little bit or substantially over what you were budgeting for financially. I mean, this happens almost 90% of the time with clients that I work with. They might be looking for a certain type of home in a certain type of neighborhood, but then, when they start looking at the homes in those neighborhoods, it's just too expensive. So if you're looking for single family homes, you might have to consider a townhouse or row house because it might be a cheaper option. If you're looking for row houses and that's a little bit too expensive at the current moment, you might have to consider maybe a 2 or 3 bedroom condo. If a 2 or 3 bedroom condo is too expensive, you might have to consider a 1 bedroom condo. Because a lot of times your first home is definitely not going to be your forever home. You're just using that as a stepping stone to get you to the next home in the next, 3 to 5 years. Another thing is, also consider adjacent neighborhoods. So if you're looking in one neighborhood and that neighborhood is too pricey, you can most likely get that same condo or townhouse or single family home in an adjacent neighborhood where prices are about $100,000 less. So if you're looking for a row house in a neighborhood like Petworth and that might be too expensive for you, you might have to consider Brentwood. Brentwood might not be as walkable. It might not be as close to metros. If it gives you a better bang for your buck, then it might be something to consider for the short term. And also don't shy away from homes that potentially need a little bit of work, because oftentimes you're able to get these homes at a discount. And when I say discount, I don't mean you're going to get the home for 70% off like the Target clearance section. There's usually opportunities to be had if you can find a home that needs a little bit of work, maybe changing the floors, putting up some new paint, changing the kitchen cabinets, minor things of that nature. If you're a first-time home buyer, you don't want to take on a big project that's going to cost you 6 figures in renovations if you don't have the experience doing that. And my final tip, don't hesitate to hit me up if you're thinking about putting all this in action in the next 30, 60, 90 days or even more, even if you're taking a longer term approach to home ownership. So feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. Contact details are down below in the description. And until next time, catch you on the next video.